I'm LARKIN. I'm the singer from Skunkhour. We're an Aussie band, and we're commemorating 30 years since the release of our most iconic song, up to our next in it. We are touring the east coast of Australia through October and November.
Fantastic, mate. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Pleasure.
As you say, Skunkhour head off in October for your 30th anniversary tour of the song Up to Our Next in It. So, firstly, happy birthday. You're looking pretty good for a 30-year-old.
I wish. My son told me the other day I look good for an 80-year-old. I was like, okay.
Oh, God, no, I think I like mine a little bit better.
Yeah, yours is way better. I'll take yours.
Now, it's pretty cool doing an anniversary tour for a single, mate. Like, you hear of heaps of bands doing a tour to celebrate an album, but I've never heard of a single celebration tour before. So, well done.
Yeah, it's that song of ours is it stands out in our repertoire, or our, the work that songs we created. So yeah, we're just shining a bit of a light on that one. It's always been our the one that people talk about the most. So it's getting some love.
Well, so we'll talk about that song then. Obviously, like the fans loved it, the critics loved it, the world loved it. But when you wrote it at the time, did you have any idea that it had that something special?
It's a good question. It came together pretty quickly, and we enjoyed it a lot, like as it was forming, because the guitarist Warwick came into the rehearsal studio one day and said, "Oh, I dreamt this part," and I think that was the intro section, and then he immediately kind of in the morning, I think he got the rest of the a couple of the other riffs, because it's like a whole series of riffs that kind of just work, rolling over each other. Anyway, but my brother Dell had this idea in his back pocket. He's the MC. He had this idea in his back pocket of a spoken word thing that didn't rhyme, no rhymes. Anyway, and so he said, "Oh, I've got this thing," and those parts came together. They kind of grafted onto each other seamlessly, and yeah, it felt good. But it didn't. We didn't know that it would be our biggest song when we were putting it together. And then I came up with my vocal in the next week or so. I was boring my girlfriend, actually. We were at a cheap Italian restaurant one night. I'm like, "Oh shit, I've just got this idea for a melody. It'll go like this." And she's like, "Yeah, whatever. I want to hit the menu." Yeah, I came back to the boys, and yeah, that worked. And yeah, man, the rest is history. 30 years of history.
It is. And the album that came from Feed had more of a heavier, darker sound to it. So the Up to Our Next in it was an upbeat blending of hip hop, acid jazz, old rock, and funk. But at the time, did you consider it a risk putting it on the album because it was so different?
No, we wanted to do something in that second album, classic, band syndrome, where you want to do your second album, you want to be a bit more darker or heavy or whatever. But we just had we had a lot of great songs in that, which were a bit more powerful, or kind of densely prog funky, but this one stood out because it's got that kind of pristine kind of feel to it. It's got this kind of, it's very centered. It's very, it's unhurried. It just does its thing. Even though it's got big riffs in certain sections, we thought it had to be there, and it formed a centerpiece, like the eye of the storm. It was the calm bit around all the kind of more funky or intensely rocky stuff.
And the song's called Up to Our Next in It, but over the years, have you ever figured out what it is? What are you up to next in it?
Yeah, another good question. No one's ever asked that before, and I've pondered that a couple of times. It's just about the hecticness of urban living. It's about, going to your job. It's about, just the hustle and bustle, the grime, the filth, and then, and seeing, people who kind of slip off this conveyor belt and kind of can get crushed by the wheels. You see people struggling, with problems greater than your own, and it's like a bit of a reflection on urban life. And once you drop into life, you don't have much choice. You just keep charging ahead. You can take drastic action. Hope you don't, but it's just about rolling with the challenges of an urban existence.
Yeah, nice. Now, looking back now, it's probably a bit of a blur for you, mate, but how exactly did that one song change your lives and careers?
Yeah, it really did. Like it kind of the first album we had got us a bit of cut through, and it was like self-funded indie album that later got licensed by Sony when we signed after that album. It was more naive and really just about our love of funk music and old funk music especially. But this one kind of gave us what would you call it? Just a bit of kind of I don't know, credence in kind of just showed that it was a bit of a, and it was really different. That first album was very derivative of a bygone era. We loved it, and it was natural for us. But you can point to it and go, oh, it sounds like all these old funk records. We even wanted it to sound small and drum sounds that were tiny and like Sly and the Family Stone and all that stuff. But this one, it's our own thing, and like that's some other pretty bigger than us artists, Australian artists have come to us down through the years and talked about how much they love that song because it's so different to other things. So it became something that kind of knocked down the doors for us, and glad for that.
Nice. And we spoke about the sound before and the mixing of genres, which, like we say, had a bit of acid jazz, hip hop, alt rock, and funk. Like in the modern age, that sort of stuff's done all the time. But back then, there wasn't too many bands experimenting like that musically. Like, how did you get that perfect concoction together? Like, was it experimentation, or was it straight away?
Yeah, I don't know that we perfected it, but it was something that we we all came in with the unifying aspect for us was the love of funk, because it was a band that was driven by a great bass player, Dean Sutherland, who's just a beast on the bass guitar, and the guitarist Warwick, who plays guitar unlike virtually any other guitarist in the country, really, because he's got all that the funk fingers, but he's also got a darkness to him as well. And we all pull in, like our drummer had grown up playing in punk bands, and it was after that first album, which was really just about funk and that old funk sound, we wanted to show those other influences, and it wasn't a very commercial move, and it also took us out of a scene that we knew was kind of would come and go. There was a funk scene that was burgeoning in Sydney, and but we wanted to kind of shift into these other aspects of our thing. And so, like I say, it wasn't the most commercial fucking idea, but it was. We even took it further on the next two albums too. Even when we lost our MC Del, my brother, he left after the second album for various reasons. But the third album is even more bent and progressive. And the good thing about that is, we've never gotten sick of playing the songs too, because it's not like we're just playing stuff that is part of a movement or part of a time capsule. While there were hip hop bands around when we were there were rock bands, there were even bands that just played kind of funky music, but we wanted to swirl in through all of it. And the music still stacks up today because it's done it's not calculated.
Nice. Now, back to the tour, mate. Like, it starts on the Central Coast on October 24th. goes through Newcastle, Byron Bay, Gold Coast, Brisbane, Frankston, and Melbourne, before finishing in Adelaide on November the 15th. So what delights have you got in store for us on the road, mate?
We have great stuff coming out of that album that was all around up to our next in it. So we're going to make sure that we hit virtually every track on that album. We've also got some new music that was released in the last few years that stacks up well, and will, you know, kind of, it's earned its place on our live repertoire on its own merits. We're not just force feeding people new music because it's new. So we've got a couple of new ones there, and then we get some special guests here and there when we roll into certain towns, and we also, you know, like to have a couple of surprises just with a couple of the tracks where we, you know, improv some stuff as well.
I'm not going to push you for those surprises, mate, because everybody needs a bit of mystery in their life, don't they?
You do. Won't be a surprise if I tell you.
And you mentioned the new music you're going to be playing. Like over the past couple of years, you've put out the EP Parts of the Sun and the single Rain on Me. So you obviously don't want to, even though you're celebrating this particular song, you don't want to rest on your past laurels. Like you guys are still intent on making new music and moving forward.
We still like got a creative discourse going on between us. We still, you know, show, you know, we still talk about, you know, someone might have a riff or an idea or a feel or a tempo. You know, in the middle of the night last night, couldn't sleep. I had something in my head. I got the guitar out. I recorded it, you know, on my phone, and thinking that could work for the band as well, or could be for my solo shit. So, yeah, we're still creative beings, and it's just finding the time to carve out. You know, we all got day gigs now. You know, a lot of us have kids, and just finding the time to carve out writing time and recording time, mixing time, and then, you know, mounting it all up. Yeah, but there'll be new music that comes out again in the future. Don't know when.
Fantastic, mate. Well, thanks very much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. The tour does kick off October 24th and the Central Coast. So I'm going to come along to the Brisbane show, brother. So I'll be giving you
hit me up. Let's get you on the door.